Hello mes demoiselles, welcome to a brand new video here on my channel. My name is Tricia and I'm a content creator. Now, if this is the first time you're here, make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything new that I publish every week. This week we have an interesting topic as usual, and that's all about ways to stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison often starts at a young age. It can begin with something simple such as wishing you had the same shoes as one of your friends. And as you grow older, you may find yourself comparing your appearance, talents, status, or grades to your friends, wishing you could be more like those you look up to. You may find yourself scrolling through social media and seeing friends celebrating major life achievements such as engagements or promotions, and all of a sudden feel behind in life. This tendency to compare ourselves to other people is called social comparison, and is a natural way for us to evaluate how we are doing. When we compare ourselves to others who are better off than we are, it is called an upward social comparison, and it tends to make us feel dissatisfied. If we feel that there is nothing we can do to improve our situation, then that dissatisfaction turns to frustration, depression, stress, you name it. When we compare ourselves to people worse off than we are, it is called a downward social comparison, and it may make us feel satisfied, but it also tends to sap our motivation to work harder. Sometimes comparison can be motivating, and at other times destructive. Comparison can become dangerous because it steals your joy and causes you to focus on what you don't have instead of what you do have. That is why people say comparison kills. Comparison is the root cause of all evil. It is the devil's tool that keeps many of us from stepping into our God-given destinies. Comparing yourself leads to your self-worth being flagged around by the opinion, words, and action of others. Even when you do feel better than others by comparing yourself to them, the strength you gain from that action is a temporary ego boost. Once the ego boost begins to fade, your insecurities resurface, triggering your need for outside reassurance. While it is a hard habit to break, learning to avoid comparison can improve your mental health and self-esteem. Considering how flooded we are by social media and our constant exposure to ads and TV, it is easier than ever to constantly find someone better to compare ourselves to, which only serves to make us feel bad about ourselves. Once you begin down that road, you never find an end until you break the cycle. It is a continuum that leads to jealousy and envy of your neighbors. I'm curious to know, does ruminating on the lives of others in contradiction to your own life improve your mood? Be honest. Does the act of comparison ever leave you unaffected? Or does it more likely leave you feeling miserable? Comparison has led to many believing in the fake it until you make it theory, which can be very beneficial if used properly and detrimental if used in a wrong way. You supplying effort and investing resources to become the best version of yourself has nothing to do with faking. Perhaps you have not reached the level you want to be at, but that does not mean you are faking it. You are paving your way towards the change you want to see by making small actions every day and not by faking it. It is very important to understand the difference. When you refer to yourself as fake, you're training your brain to believe it and discount the credit or the work that you're doing. When you refer to the time, energy, and resources you're investing to become the great person that you aspire to be as faking, this will do more harm than good to your self-esteem, as it makes you feel like a fraud. This theory is bad as it can affect your psychological and physiological well-being. By adopting the fake it until you make it mentality, you are subconsciously pretending to be someone else, and this stops you from focusing on the abilities that God deposited in you. Comparison stems from a distorted focus. Keeping our eyes on the things in front of others rather than what is in front of us leads us to a place of discontentment with what we have. Comparing yourself to others causes you to minimize your own abundance. As a result, you spend so much time building your life based on what people think of you or trying to keep up with a certain group of people or trend. Based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, human beings all have the need to belong, which is totally normal. However, your strong need to belong should not be at the expense of your happiness and well-being. If your need to belong pushes you to sacrifice your values and financial security just to keep up with other people's highlight reels on Instagram, then you're doing something wrong. You may be familiar with phrases such as keeping up with the Kardashians or Joneses. In the 21st century, people consider influencers as a benchmark for success or even happiness. Failing to keep up with the Joneses or Kardashians will be perceived as not being successful, wealthy, or as impressive as those around you seem to be. Basically, it is a mentality of whatever the neighbor have, I too should have. Consequently, this can lead to pride and greediness. Many people are unhappy with their lives regardless of how blessed they are, thinking and wishing that if only they had what their neighbors had, they'll be happier and live a better life. People with such mentality think the grass is greener on the other side, constantly chasing happiness and exhausting their resources trying to keep up with a purpose they were never called for. 1 John 2:15 tells us to not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. It takes a person to love the things of this world to constantly measure their value and wealth to a fellow human being. Here's what you need to understand. You can be anything, but you cannot be everything. There will always be someone richer, prettier, smarter, younger, stronger, healthier, but they can never be you. And that is where lies your power. If you're going to do your best work and unleash your unique gifts in this life, you simply cannot be concerned with how you're compared to others. God has given you everything you need for the plans He has set before you. We all have gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, as advised in Romans 12:6. God has uniquely and precisely created you and I with specific gifts and talents to do exactly what He has called us to do. God will not judge you according to what others have accomplished or failed to do. What matters most is how much of your life had been dedicated to following God's will for you. You comparing yourself to others and trying to imitate them is like telling God He did not know what He was doing when He created you. It is written, any tree that does not bear fruit will be cut down. God has invested a great deal in you. He has planted a seed in you. Therefore, He is expecting fruits from you. God expects you to fulfill your purpose and not that of your neighbor. Who you are and what you have are more than enough to get you to the top. Do not underestimate your God-given talent and resources. Consider the parable of the talents as Jesus told it. A master was set to travel to distant lands, but before his trip he called 3 of his servants and gave each of them a talent according to their abilities. To the first servant he gave 5 talents, to the second 2, and just 1 for the last servant. Then he went on his journey. The first 2 servants went and put their money to work, while the last one dug a hole in the ground and hid what he received. When the master came back, he asked the servant, "What became of the talents I gave you?" The first one proudly replied that he gained 5 talents more with what the master had given him. The second servant also earned 2 talents more from the initial 2 he received. The lesson here is that God does not compare us with others, but He does expect us to make very good use of the resources that have been given to us. This servant could have had the same reward that the others received had he simply taken his 1 talent and used it. He was not required to multiply his 1 into 10, only into 2. God is going to judge you based on what He gave you, not on another person's performance. Not comparing oneself to others is definitely easier said than done, especially in an age of social media that seemingly requires us to constantly look at what other people are doing and evaluate our own self-worth based on the lives of others. So, I have gathered 6 tips that I hope will help you stop comparing yourself to your peers and those in or outside your social circle. Starting with celebrating small wins. In the internet age, accomplishments seem larger than life because people rarely document the process that got them to the finish line. The power of progress is often forgotten when we are working towards our goals. Celebrating small wins daily can help us remember that bit by bit we are working towards getting where we want to be. Celebrating small achievements give us the strength to reach farther and try to accomplish more. A small win varies from person to person. It can be finally being able to grow a flower or sticking to a workout plan. Learning to celebrate the small wins will enable you to reach the big ones and learn to appreciate them more. The second tip is to be present. To be present is to pay attention, to notice, and to appreciate. If you are regularly reflecting upon the good in your life and giving thanks, you'll be far less likely to fall into the habit of comparison. Third is to detox social media. Social media can be a great source of inspiration, but if it triggers inadequacy, self-doubt, and frustration, then choose to do a detox. Make sure you control social media and not the other way around. The fourth step is to ask God to give us a grateful heart and eyes that see. Philippians 4:6-7 tells us to not worry about anything, but in all our prayers to ask God for what we want and need, and always asking Him with a thankful heart. And God's peace, which is far beyond human understanding, will keep our hearts and minds safe in union with Christ Jesus. Fifth tip is to get better friends. If you feel pressured by your own friends, neighbors, or loved ones to live outside of your means, maybe it is time for them to go. That might sound a bit harsh, but it is important to remember that not everyone is meant to stay in your life. Cut ties with everyone that makes you feel bad about yourself and your life situation. And last but not least is to get clear on your own values. Getting clear on what differentiates you from others will make it easier for you to make financial decisions based on what you want rather than what you think you should be doing. When you're not clear on what is most important to you, it is easy to fall into a pattern of following societal norms or doing what other people in your life want you to do. Making choices based on society's or other people's values may help you gain approval from others, which may temporarily make you feel good, but won't assure your own fulfillment. As Christians, our success is not based on how much money we have in the bank, the model of car we drive, how beautiful, brilliant you are, how technologically advanced your phone or house is. It is not based on your career, educational attainment, and status in life, but rather it is based on how God sees you as His child. Instead of comparing yourself to others, commit your time, effort, and resources to improve yourself according to the Word of God. Be thankful, content, and joyful with what you have. Life is too short and beautiful to be spent in pride and envy. As shown in Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Today I call and encourage you to bloom and flourish in your God-given purpose. Take back your power from all the people, places, and situations where you've left it and bring it back home. Decide that your energy will be used for believing, not doubting, and for creating and not destroying. Walk in your destiny and believe in God's faithfulness for your life. Go and be fruitful. And that marks the end of our video for today. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, kindly let me know in a comment below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon. À bientôt, mesdemoiselles.